Premium generated through managing general agents and other delegated underwriting authority enterprises, or DUAEs, grew by 15% to $90 billion in 2024, a fourth consecutive year of double-digit percentage increases. Here to discuss a new AM Best report on the segment is Dawn Walker, Associate Director, Industry Relations, DUAE, and David Blades, Associate Director, Industry Research and Analytics. And Dawn, the report notes yet another year of solid growth. But is that growth in some way evolving?
Yeah, as you mentioned, we're in our fourth consecutive year of double-digit growth year over year. And in fact, when we look at those drivers of growth, they've also been consistent, more than I would say evolving. And I think that's a positive aspect because inconsistent, fast-growing growth drivers could indicate an unstable market where results are hard to duplicate. And so some of those consistent growth drivers are continuous access to niche expertise, talent continuing to drive into the DUAE segment, the advancements in technology, and the capacity can remain strong in the market. And from these factors, that's going to allow diversification. That's diversification in products, diversification in their portfolio and their distribution channels, as well as participation, whether that program is profitable or not profitable. And the DUAE segment really has shown to be a really good model for improved cost and efficiency, as well as speed to market. And all of that lends to the scale that we're seeing. It lends to that continued growth, and it lends to maturity of the overall segment.
Are you finding that carriers are granting more authority to MGAs beyond just underwriting?
Well, yeah, on a year-over-year basis, that normal group of delegated functions is growing. 5 out of the 6 categories of delegated authority increased from 2023 to 2024, and with claims adjustment really having the largest growth differential, and that represented about 4.5% in growth. Reinsurance ceding is the only delegated authority that didn't experience growth year over year. And the top 3 delegated authorities were premium collection, underwriting, and binding authority.
David, the report notes a pivot towards non-exclusive MGA relationships. Can you explain that dynamic?
Sure, John. I think the movement towards non-exclusive MGAs, I think it shows that insurers are, they're focusing more on diversified distribution. That will enable them to broaden their network from an overall standpoint, help them broaden their portfolio, give them a chance to broaden their market reach, and also kind of limit underwriting risk concentration. So I think also the move towards non-exclusive MGAs, when you think about it, I think it shows they are gaining the ability to gain greater access to niche markets. I think insurers are looking towards any way to accomplish that. And if the best conduit towards that business is non-exclusive MGAs or non-exclusive MGA relationships, then I think they're open towards that, and I think they've shown that they're willing to do that. I also think there's just a great, or has been a great increase in in competition for niche markets, both on the distribution side, so for the delegated underwriting authority enterprises, the program managers and the MGAs, and from a company standpoint. So I think that increase in competition, if companies or if insurers are finding that the best way to access the business that they want, that their risk appetite has shown them that these are the risk classes they want to go after, these are lines of business they want to go after, and if the best way to get to that is through non-exclusive MGA agreements or arrangements, I think that's what they're focusing on.
Do you see anything that could derail this growth, and where does AI fit into this picture?
So honestly, John, from my perspective, I think with the new technologies that we're seeing and the more complex risks that we're seeing, they require more bespoke, tailored coverage solutions for those risks. And I think that's going to just create more opportunities, to be honest with you, for a lot of these specialty MGAs and specialty DUAEs, and for the insurance partners that they work with. So I think they're actually, right now, I think opportunities, are great from that standpoint. And I think, just as an example, if you think about the current administration and some of their economic policies and the fact that they're trying to get manufacturing risks or more manufacturing risks to come back onshore, if that were to happen, I think the more complex of those manufacturing risks will really need those tailored specialty coverages, and I think that's going to actually create more opportunity if that's what we see happening. I think premium growth, I think, is always going to be factored in. You're always going to factor in market conditions, right? So if there are specific lines of business or if there are specific risk classes that we see where market conditions are causing premiums to come down a little bit, that could of course have some effect on the marketplace. But I honestly think where we are right now and what we're looking at on a going forward basis, at least over the next few years, I think the opportunities are going to, maybe some of the growth may be more muted than some of the year-over-year growth we've seen in recent years. But I just don't see, the growth that MGAs, program managers, et cetera, have been generating. I don't see that grinding to a halt anytime soon. Now, in terms of AI and where AI is fitting into it, I think, AI is being used by insurers to, enhance the ability for their underwriters to really understand, all aspects of their risks, and they're using AI and some more of these different technologies to really, just allow them to be able to drill down into what they need to do to really, like I said, understand the risks. And I think in that way, I think AI is going to continue having a positive impact on, potential growth. I think also from the standpoint of insurance companies, it's allowing their underwriters to scrub their submissions a little bit better. And so anything that can enhance the effectiveness and the efficiency of insurers, and I think AI and other technologies are offering different ways to do that. I think that will actually help potentially propel premium growth opportunities in the MGA space.
Thanks, David. Dawn.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
That was Dawn Walker, Associate Director, Industry Relations, DUAE, and David Blades, Associate Director, Industry Research and Analytics. You can find the full report online at ambest.com. For AM Best TV, I'm John Weber.